everyone, and welcome to the Levantex podcast. It is a wonderful day, and we have a wonderful guest, both political and cultural. Today, we will be talking to a wonderful young lady. Her name is Christelle. She will introduce herself very shortly, but I just wanted to give a small introduction. Christelle has been very, very busy and very active on the ground, and we're here to find out what she's been up to and for her to elaborate on things that she's been doing and things that are coming up. So, Christelle, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Sophie, for having me tonight.
You did come onto the scene. You've always been very active. You've always been very busy. We do know you have Lebanon in your heart. Your partner is very active in the country as well. But you decided to make a big comeback into the scene when you did, of your own accord, decide to go down and start cleaning the streets and people's houses after the August 4th blast.
I'm Christelle Drouby. I'm a strategic communication consultant, and as Sophie said earlier, I've always been very socially and civically active. What triggered me after the August 4th explosion and blast is the fact that I was not directly hit by the explosion. None of my family, thank God, were affected. And I know the meaning of losing. And I've already been through a very big loss that I can relate to people's tragedies, let's put it that way. So I gathered all of my strength, all of my energy after this blast. The second day I was on the ground since the early morning, just trying to figure out what can I do as an individual. I was like, I saw that everyone was all over the place. There was, and I know that a lot of initiatives and NGOs are gonna come to help those in need. So I decided on a personal title to just like go and get donations, to gather donations and to gather like equipments, cleaning equipments. And I just like got some 10 brooms and like the heavy duty bags. I went down to Jemaise and I started off at one of my friends' houses. So I gathered some people from the streets that I knew were like lost and did not know what to do. I'm just like, okay, come on, you're coming with me, you're coming with me, you're coming with me. Let's go and get things done. And I knew that was my first response. Like, I know all of these people who have lost their homes are not gonna come back anytime soon because like everything was destroyed. So the least we can do is like when they were to come back to their houses, to just like find them neat and like clean.
Just to give them some form of safety, that not everything is down on the ground, some form of normalcy, which obviously none of it is normal, but to
Yeah.
say, come home and you will, we're here and we're going to support you. I
I
completely
knew it was
understand where you
gonna
came from.
alleviate the pain of seeing everything broken and all the glass shattered and everything like just all over the place. So it was just about to make it like just look, let's say, normal as much as
What
we
were
can.
what were your encounters on the ground? Did you meet people that you don't necessarily know? How did you interact with victims of the Beirut blast? How did they react to you? Were people comfortable with you coming into their house? Given the fact that you weren't necessarily with an NGO, how was that rapport built?
uh, Instagram helped me so much. I relied on my social media. I've always been very active on social media, not necessarily as a crisis manager, but I am active in my daily life on social media. So I started like just doing like calls for volunteers through my Instagram and just calling out people, whoever is there, whoever is listening, whoever does not know what to do, please come join me. I'll be at this exact place at this exact time. I have everything that you would need. Just don't bring anything, just come. And this is how I started gathering volunteers that no, I did not know most of the people who joined me. I never met them before, but whom I'm still in touch with till this very day. I started actually getting requests from people to come and clean their houses or houses of relatives because I was sharing the end result at the end of each cleanup. So I did like the series always of before and after because I really wanted to show people that we're actually getting things done.
But you got a lot of bad feedback. People did attack you on social media for doing this, I do believe. I think I do remember us having a chat and you were quite upset with some of the comments and DMs that you were getting when you did share certain photos and you did put up certain things. And you said to me, Sophie, people felt like I was going down there to just take pictures of myself instead of actually benefiting the victims. So why do you think you went through that? Why do you think people were or get you these comments were coming? And are you still finding these DMs in your inbox?
We're used to that here in Lebanon, and I think like everywhere, you're always gonna find people who are gonna criticize, who are gonna judge people like, and most of the people that I received messages from weren't actually doing anything. So like I did not take that very personally, but I know that some people are always going to judge, are always going to criticize. That did not stop me from doing anything, that did not keep me from doing anything. And as much as I got like very like these messages and these negative messages, I also received a lot of support, and so many people who were abroad and so many people who were here and they wanted to help, but they couldn't physically. So I received many donations which I did not necessarily share on my Instagram, but we actually gathered some donations. We gathered donations as in kind, like in kind, and we also like received money for us to help these families we were actually visiting. So as much as I received negative energies, I had like overwhelming positivity around me as well.
Well, we've seen the overwhelming positivity with the last campaign that's just come out called Love and Acceptance. I think it's so beautiful, and this is the real reason why we're talking today. And I
Mhm.
think this message really needs to be spread.
In February, I did like a small collaboration with 30 and 2, lovely two sisters who have like a Lebanese brand, and they're like expressive T-shirts. So we collaborated, and we just wanted through their brand to spread a message of positivity, as Sophie just said. And so I created the campaign Love Beyond Love. So it was like just defining love in these times of uncertainties beyond the actual emotion of being in love. So I defined love as being acceptance, as being compassion, and as being kindness, because these for me are like the three main values that we really need to like hold in our hearts very tightly in order to continue and to like just survive these times. Without these three values, we're just gonna all of us were just gonna like be angry all the time and angry at each other and angry at ourselves.
How has the response been towards the campaign? How has the response been in regards to purchasing of the T-shirts? You know, and are there the money collected or the money earned from the T-shirts? Are any of these going back towards an NGO? Is there any type of link between for a charity or anything along those lines?
Not for this campaign, no, because it was about helping a Lebanese brand at the end of the day. So, which who also, يعني, also Lebanese brands and local brands and small businesses in Lebanon, they also need endorsing. So that was uh, like a way of endorsing a small business, Lebanese business and local business. So no, they were not related, but it was really like the feedback was great, because I think we've missed those messages of positivity and hope that are shared on social media. Because through every T-shirt, through each T-shirt, I tried to, and I think you've read it, I tried um, to write like a small piece about it, a small something that would just bring people a heartwarming feeling.
Well, I mean, we're in a time where love, compassion, and kindness and tolerance is definitely needed, and it's not just in Lebanon; it's around the whole world. So it was a definite worldwide message, and I think it was very strong. And I'm glad that you put that out there, and you've got the response that you did get. Now, Christelle, I have a couple of questions here. I mean, as time goes by, as the dollar now goes up to 10,000 to the lira, you know, there is protests happening all over the streets. Everything is closing down. This is something we haven't experienced since the beginning of Corona, since the death of the revolution, shall we say, or it died down of the revolution. It quieted down. Everyone has an interpretation as to what happened to the revolution. But someone who has been very active, as you said, you know, you do see it, take it upon yourself to be civically active, and you participate in a lot of these different things. What do you feel is currently taking place in the country?
Anger, confusion. People are down. People are confused. People are lost. People do not know what to do because, like everything we've been trying to do for the past year, you feel like it's just lingering through our fingers. Like nothing is just sticking. We did not actually. Okay, we had like the small achievements, but a year through, there are no major changes. We're still stuck in the same circle of lies, of corruption, of uncertainty. It's even getting worse and worse. So um, I try personally, I know how hard it is for everyone out there. Uh, Personally, I try as much as possible not to let it take a toll on me because things happen, bad things happen. Generations before us, they've been through a war, they've been through civil wars. We're going through this, and we're gonna get through this. At the end of the tunnel, we're gonna get through this. It's not like we're gonna be stuck like this forever. It's gonna need time. It's gonna take a lot of effort. It's gonna take a lot of energy. It's gonna take a lot of crying. A lot of bad days are gonna always be there. It's not like we're always entitled to goodness and greatness in life. It's a shame that it's happening. Of course it is, but it's not that it's a price we have to pay for because it's on us. It's on me. It's on my mother. It's on my father. It's on my grandparents as well. It's a whole generational thing that we're going through. It's not just the fault of whoever is in power right now. It's about a whole cycle. So at some point, we need to acknowledge that we have some responsibility towards what's happening. We cannot ignore that. We cannot just keep pointing fingers and like throwing the blame. So we have another chance in like a year or so. We're gonna be granted a new chance. So I just hope until then we're going to be able to raise enough awareness to to start getting ourselves out of this vicious circle. So what
I just have a question. You said in a year or so we're going to get a second chance. Now, this second chance that you're talking about the upcoming elections or the elections that we should have.
supposedly
Okay. So just to
we're
make
so
that clear to our listeners, Christelle, we have been promised a chance for new elections. So Christelle's hope is that we will, as a nation and as a population, understand what we've been through, I'm guessing, and be able to put that to the ballot box to in order to make the necessary changes in the government to be able to take those steps forward. So that's still to come. So shall we put pending or loading and see what happens there? But you know, Christa, there's been a huge brain drain in the country. We can see that. A lot of people have emigrated. A lot of people that have different passports or second passports have left the country. And I'm going to guess that you're at a stage of society where you have that option open to you. So why are you still here? Why is your partner still here? And what duty do you think it is on you to be staying here and not trying to pursue or start a life outside?
um, I have the option. Yes, I've got two passports that are not Lebanese. I hold two passports that are not Lebanese, and still I'm here, and my partner is here. And I think it's for the one reason which people are different, and in our case we have a vision, and I think this is what's keeping us here. So we're always trying to create new projects here. We're always trying to create projects from here for outside to be able to help like people, Lebanese people, to recruit and employ people outside that are Lebanese. So I think this is the thing we just like we're still holding on to hope, and we've got a vision. We've got certain vision and we're working towards it. Some people have lost this vision or have never had it, and I think this is why they're just looking abroad and outside. But as long as we have a vision, and I think and a lot of other people have this vision, and this is why they're still here. And I think like this is what's going to keep the country on its feet. Maybe not now, but it's going to help.
So
This is
you're
what.
saying the people that have chosen to say and have are sort of grounded and trying to see past the crisis, what could take place, how they can use this opportunity of a crisis to maybe bridge the gap between the local Lebanese and the diaspora. You're playing a large hand in this. You're giving consultations on how to build CVs, how to build resumes. How are you finding the reaction to the local population? Do you feel like you're being flooded with I need to get out of here or please help me?
Um, so like it's been like ever since the beginning of this year, the start of this year, I've been giving resume writing approximately every day. Like last year, it was like once or twice a month or something. But like this year, there's like a spike, and like people are realizing that they need a good resume. A lot of people are currently employed, but there are just want to keep their options open. They want to have like this tool in their hands that it could like at any point, like when a door opens, they just like want to enter it directly. And other people are like just um, let's say like just they drained and they do not want to stay in Lebanon. They're like very determined to move outside. And I understand, like I understand them. And sometimes I feel if they're here doing nothing, it's better for them to go outside to make their own money, to earn money, to send their parents. So I do not see it as um, such a bad thing when there are no opportunities. Some people are really like in their fields and in their domains, they really do cannot find any more job opportunities here.
Definitely. I mean, do you find yourself sometimes playing life coach instead of a resume master?
Psychologist, psychiatrist, life coach, a consultant. Yeah, but it's good to connect with people. I do not mind that. When you understand people and when you're compassionate and when you just some because funny you say that, because sometimes I also receive people from, let's say, Egypt or Brazil, or I don't know, like Lebanese outside, and they just want to fix their resumes, and we just end up talking about life and their problems and their issues. And sometimes it's good to talk to a complete stranger because they're not going to care at the end of the day.
Yeah, and well, you also get a completely different perspective on things. We did had a little chat earlier, something I didn't know, and you enlightened me to. You're currently working on a film.
Yeah.
You're part of a crew, and your partner's a producer. So, do tell us a little bit about what's going on here. Some exciting stuff, I'm guessing.
So it's one of the visions. Actually, it's been a project that's been ongoing for the past 3 years. So Mario has two partners, Gianluca and Mohofzi, and there are three producers on this movie. We're recreating the Italian, the Arabic version of Perfect Strangers, which is an Italian movie originally. It's been recreated in many countries, and now we're doing like the Lebanese Egyptian version. I've been watching him like for the past 2.5 years, just working on this movie. And whenever they wanted to start shooting, like there was the Saudi, there was the revolution, and then there was a pandemic, and then there was like the total economic collapse, and like and at some point they're like, no, okay, so we're never gonna do this. We're never gonna make it happen. We're not gonna make it happen. And then 2 weeks ago we made it happen. We started, so it was very emotional. Like so first time I was on set, I was like, I had my tears running down my cheek. I'm like, finally this is happening. So this is part of having a vision. Like despite everything, they stayed determined, and they stayed determined on shooting it in Lebanon despite everything that's happening, to recruit Lebanese talents, to recruit young people who have just like graduated from their performing arts majors, to have trainees, to have like all the staff are Lebanese mainly. So and it's going great, and it's going to be a nice project, a nice movie.
Well, I guess it brings also some hope back to the country. The country is quite film oriented. I mean, we do have a lot of directors, a lot of corporate videos are shot here, even though ads and stuff, you know. So it's nice to see, as we say in Arabic, shwayt harake. Things are getting back on track slowly, slowly. Things are happening, especially after what the country's been through for the last, I'm going to say, maybe 2.5 years, even before the pandemic. But now that the revolution's kicked off again, do you think this could be now a new hindrance, or are you in support of what's taking place?
Am I in support? Yes, for I support these people doing this because they cannot. This is their way of expressing their anger. This is their way of, like, their last resort of just revolting. My revolution could be like, my revolution is different. I express my revolution differently. But for these people, I think it is kind of necessary to feel the anger on the streets at some point, because if they're gonna stay at home voiceless, helpless, wordless, uh, you're never gonna feel their pain. Like, you're always gonna say, okay, there are so many poor people, ya haram. But then again, when you see these actual people on TV expressing their pain, expressing how depressed they are, expressing how they actually cannot feed their families, expressing how they've been at home unemployed for the past year, you're going to want to make more effort into, and put more effort into whatever you're doing to help this country.
I think that's very interesting to hear because I mean, even let's say you're in a situation, hypothetical situation where you're making fresh dollars, you're sitting quite comfortably. The country at the moment, if you do have dollars, you can live like a king, and these people are suffering now. I'm not saying this is Christelle. I'm just trying to have a discussion with Christelle to get her perspective on things, which is okay. What can I do? Yes, I have this money, but I don't know what's coming. Do I want to start throwing it around? Do I want to start investing? Do I want to start helping? Do I not know what's coming down the line? I think it is quite scary for all different tiers. Not just necessarily the ones that aren't necessarily making money. Obviously, they're the worst off, and
Mhm.
people that are making this type of money need to try to see how they can help and bridge this huge gap that is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger in regards to the inflation. Now,
Mhm.
I know you're not an expert, but you're a human and you live here and you
Mhm.
experience this and you feel it. And you watch it, as you said, whether it's on the TV, whether it's notifications on Instagram, whether it's someone going live. And a lot of the people that we know and we're close to are active on the ground and are at most of these protests. So it's not just the underprivileged that are striking out and voicing their anger. It's people with voices that are voicing their anger with them. So how can we try to ease their pain, even though we're in a situation of struggling? Do you wake up some mornings and go, I don't know what to do? I know there is a bunch of people over there that can't eat, but I don't know who they are. I don't know how to access them. And I don't know if I can, the little bit of nest egg that I've got, I don't know if I can start, cashing it out. So how do you react to this? Where do you find yourself?
I'm a big believer and a firm believer in sustainability, even though, like, I know how incompetent our government is, and I know it's not going to change overnight. Even though in next year's election we could, like, just get some MPs that are completely, like, with the people. Let's put it that way. I know it's not going to change overnight. The decisions are not going to change overnight. The situation is not going to change overnight. And because we, again, like, vision, sustainability, everything, we're now, I believe you cannot just help the poor by just, like, giving them money. You cannot help the poor by just giving them a monthly box of food that they need, even though it is, like, necessary for people who cannot afford it. But this is not just the way um, uh, to help, because we're by doing so, we're just, like, letting these people just sit around and wait for this amount of money and wait for this box of food monthly, and they're just going to be satisfied because there's nothing else that they think they can do. So in Lebanon now, we're losing a lot of the for like the small the small jobs that were previously occupied by foreigners who are currently leaving the country. At some point, we're gonna have to do it. Wherever you go in any country, like you go to America, and they're uh, the janitors and whoever around the schools, around the companies, they're all from the states and they're all locals. It's not like always foreigners entering the country to work these jobs. So at some point, people are gonna have to work. uh, what we're also trying to do now is like we're now developing a company for cleaning for like locals, completely like local employers uh, for cleaning. And before that, we're giving them trainings. We're training them on certain skills, and not only on technical skills. We're also training them on some soft life livelihood skills, to know how to like carry a conversation with their employer, with the clients, with anyone. We're trying to develop that in order to employ these people who are just sitting around and cannot do not have any other skill to work in, any technical skill.
It's
Funny
interesting
enough,
you say
funny
that.
enough,
Go for it.
funny enough, we're struggling to find people to come and work, to come and
I
get.
was just going to say this to you. I mean, I had the same conversation a couple of days ago with a friend, and I was basically saying the same thing. In England, as everyone knows, I'm half English. So in England, you had the underprivileged saying, "We have foreigners coming in and taking our jobs." Okay, you have foreigners coming and taking the jobs you don't want. That's
To
why they're there. So that's one thing to take into consideration. And we had that here before all of this kicked off. We have foreigners in the country that are taking our jobs. Who are these foreigners? They're
Mhm.
refugees trying to work in order to make a living, whether they be Palestinian, whether they be Syrian, whether they be Iraqi. We have a lot of refugees in the country. And then there's the concept of the Bangladeshis and the Ethiopians and the people that were working in domestic cleaning and stuff like that. So now we're in a situation where you say all of these jobs are nearly available because all of these people were earning their money in dollars and were being able to send enough money back home. Now, with the inflation and the fact that there is no dollars in the country, they're not managing to work or create any form of livelihood, and it's probably better for them to go back to the country of their residence. Now, with all of these jobs open, and as you just said, you're struggling to find people to sign up. Now, is this a pride thing, an ego thing, a culture thing? Oh, I'm too good for this. Because the response that I had from a very close friend, which I was shocked, was, "We are talented. We don't need to be cleaning."
Mm.
And my point was is no one's
So
expecting you to clean for life, but at the moment, instead of sitting at home and saying you can't feed your child, you can go and pump gas in the gas station. You can go and clean someone's house for a couple of hours a day. No one's asking you to sleep there. So what do you think the problem is?
I think this is what we're used to. We've been living a life that's much more, that's higher than what we could ever afford, whether be it the from the low class to the middle class to the high class. We're always living we've always lived more than we could afford. Like we make a certain amount of money, whether be it like this is, if we think about it, like we also have a part in this inflation. Like, okay, so let's say I'm in a middle class, I earn this much money, I can afford this much, but like I want to travel 4 times a week, 4 times a summer. Like during summer, I want to travel 4 times. I take take money from the bank more than I can afford, and I think that, like this has part this took part of the inflation. Not saying that this is the only reason. Okay, but we've always lived more than we can, even the lower class. So I think it's a question of عادة إنه تعودنا هيك نعيش إنه uh, us our like let's say a poor family, they never seen maybe their parents struggling for them to get the money. They were just sitting around all the time, and the generation before and the generation before, maybe it's just that. And as you said, we expect, like we think we have like your friend said, we're talented, but not everyone is talented, and we've got to admit that. Someone who has never had the opportunity to get a proper education, who was never able to provide a proper education for their kids, you cannot just say like, yeah, this is a talented person, he just needs to sit around and wait for money to fall from the tree. I'm
Oh
sorry I
God.
have to say it that way, but like,
No, no, you're so right.
when you're putting effort, and when you're trying to do something, and when you're trying to help people get like a sustainable like develop a sustainable skill, and develop and get a job, like get a job, you're gonna get paid at the end of the day. You're not gonna be working for free, or
Yeah, but they can't go
not
home and
working.
tell people they're cleaners.
Mm.
That's the problem.
And of course the Lebanese ego again, yeah,
I
because
think there is a
because
huge educational
mm,
awareness that needs to take place in the country. I mean, we can talk about next year and voting people in. I mean, what is it, a minority of people that are going to vote these people in and know who they are anyway? Because I mean, just with the littering and with there is so much going on in the country that it really, it's not just, as you said, blame it on the government. We all know that probably 80% of the hoo-ha that is happening in the country is because of the government. But there is a 20% that you are you it's your fault. And I'm
mhm,
sorry, but it's your fault. It's your fault that there's garbage all over the streets, because it's not the government running around throwing things out of their window. They're not doing that. But then you say to me, oh, they need to come and pick it up. Why? Why should they pick up after you because you want to be a dirty beep, beep, beep?
like, even when the revolution started, from the very first days, you cannot just go and revolt against your government that it's corrupted, and then you have like an entire uh, NGO that was created just to clean, like that the offspring of how Muwatin Lebanese saw the light. Their first mission was like to clean up about after these people who were coming to revolt, and like just
Ask
revolt
for their rights.
against their government. And then you think like, you cannot just come to the revolution and like drink from your bottle of water and throw it on the ground. So
Well,
yeah,
as I
education
said,
is
there's so
like
much
the
going on. There's too much going on, and you're living here, and we know these things are apparent. We know these things are there. We know these things are frustrating. We know these things need to change. There are organizations propping up and setting up all over the place. We can say, great, I'm so happy. But how are you reaching the mass population? What are you actually doing on the ground to make sure it's sustainable
yeah,
change?
ability.
You know, I can open an Instagram page tomorrow and call myself uh segregate recycling, let's just
Mhm,
say. Okay, I sit and post lovely stuff from the comfort of my home, thinking, well done. But what's happening? The garbage is still there.
mhm.
So I think this conversation went a little bit around the wrong corner. That's not where I wanted it to go. But I guess as talking to you as a citizen, I mean, I find myself in the same situation, and I know we're probably at the same degree or level on the social ladder, let's say. And we seem to be in the middle. We connect with people that have a lot of money, and we do connect with people that don't have any money. That's when you were on the streets on August 4. I'm sure you've seen it.
So,
So
mhm,
I do feel sincerely torn, because I want to shout at the people that are underprivileged when I know I shouldn't be shouting at them because they're underprivileged. But at the same time, everything they're doing is making it harder for us to make any form of change or take any form of steps forward. And then you have the rich people that some are putting and investing into the country. I am not here to generalize, but some are just sitting back and just watching this all happen. And it's like it's a soap opera, you know? It's like, oh, if I change the channel, I don't have to watch it anymore. But is that ignorance is bliss? I mean, we can sit here and say hopefully it's just going to be 3-4 years, of hell and crisis. But if you've got a whole mentality you've got to change, no, this is you're in it for the long haul, Christelle. Like,
I recently, I was listening to one of Sarah Liafi's talks, and she said something very interesting. Like, in order for real change to happen in a country, you need the upper class to be actually wanting this change and asking for it. The upper class, the يعني elite, she said, when the elite of the country want change, this is when change is going to happen. So
so we are
also
all
like
sitting
another
ducks until they all have an epiphany. That sounds wonderful. So before we end this podcast on a negative note, because that's neither of us, you do have the attention of our listeners, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak to them directly and whatever it is that you'd like to leave with them today. Ahlo sahlo.
So as you said, I would love to end on a positive note. Please do not lose hope. Please do not dread over negativity and whatever and all the bad things that are happening. Keep that in mind because this is what gives us a push forward. But please do not lose hope. Please just sit. We're smart. We're talented. If you're listening to this, you are smart. You are talented. You are visionary. Just like sit and just think what you can do to help, what you think would exploit your full potential. Where how can you use your full potential to help this country? It could be like on a small scale, on a bigger scale, and on a very wide scale. Just think about how you can help this country with what you have and with what you know, and do not lose hope.
Thank you very much, Christelle. I think that message of hope is a big wake up call for all of us. We all have creativity. We're all able to
You
sit
can
and
do it.
understand.
You can do
Yes,
it.
exactly. You can do it. And if you really don't have a clue, you have people like Christelle and a lot of others that I've spoken to that you can speak to directly on Instagram or any form of social media channel, and they will either point you in the right direction or help you or guide you or even tell you to join whatever it is they're doing. So
Would love
if you'd like to keep up with what Christelle is doing, actually, you can find her on Instagram, on Facebook. She's very active on Instagram, so you get to see all of the updates and the different things she's got going on. And again, for our listeners, while I've still got a second, we are a crowd-funded organization, and we do rely on donations. So every little helps. You can head to the website levantx.com. You can make a one-time payment or a monthly fee, whichever tickles your pickle. So, Christelle, thank you
Thank you
very
so much
much.
Sophie, for this lovely conversation. It's been really great having this conversation with you. Thank you.
It was
And thank you for
wonderful.
doing everything you're doing because I know through every podcast or through every episode, you're inspiring someone in any way, in one way or another. So I really hope this talk has inspired someone. And thank you for doing this.
Thank you for being there and thank you for listening, Christelle. And thank you for everyone who has listened to Christelle and I have a little rant. Well, mostly me, not Christelle, but have a little rant about the issues that we face. So, again, Christelle, lovely
Someone has to
to
run.
see you. Yeah, someone has to rant. Lovely to see you and to talk to you. And we will be keeping up with you. And have a wonderful evening.
You too.
Bye bye.